And I wanted to talk about the interest rates that are considered to be lowering in Canada and why it's important. And I think that it needs to be talked about so that more and more people understand the reasons behind it. Canadians hold the highest amount of household debt in the world, and especially in mortgages. Nobody really owns anything anymore in Canada. We are constantly on payment plans and pay later, to the point where Canadians don't own a thing. And the reason being is the cost of everything, right? When a brand new pickup truck, a work truck, is $60,000, $70,000, how many houses do you have to paint to make that payment? Or how many plumbing fixtures do you have to change to make that payment? And that's not just for 1 month, that is for 48, 60, 72 months. Sometimes the people paying off these vehicles hold them for so long that they don't even make parts for them anymore. So they're paying for something that they can't even maintain. So this is the reason that I wanted to talk about this, is because the young people are not really understanding how important it is to get out of debt as soon as possible, because they want you in a cycle of perpetual debt. And the reason that they want this is because you will be a good slave. You'll be the person who shows up to work because they have to, not because they want to, but because they have to. And the more people that are enslaved in this system of debt, the easier they are to control, right? It's just as simple as that. Look at all the credit cards out there right now telling you there's no annual fee, but yet the interest rate is 21, 22, sometimes 28%. That's hovering in the loan sharking interest rates at 30%. Even American Express, which is the highest out of all of the credit cards, isn't that high. And people right now are juggling between two, three, five, 10 credit cards. This is not how it was intended to be, because what they want is what I wanted to get to was the interest rates and how the Bank of Canada is cutting the interest rates again in the following week. They're going to shave another quarter point off of this. And this is really detrimental to our society and our economics in the country, because the lower the interest rate becomes, the less people save. And essentially, what the government is positioning you to do is not to save, because um, it's so cheap to borrow money that why would you save any money? And I want people to understand that when you save money, when you have a savings, you have a sense of power that people who don't get to enjoy. And when I talk about this, when you have two, three, $5,000 in the bank, you have a sense of security. It means that you can take, a sick day to maintain your health. You can go and visit family. You can go on vacation. You can do the things that, hello, how you doing, everybody? Thanks for joining me on today. I really appreciate it. But when you have a savings, you have basically power stored. Because remember, money is just a store of power, right? You work, you exchange your time for money, and that money can be used in the future to buy things that you need, not want. You see, because our society right now, we're in a position right now where everybody wants things, to the point where there are companies like Klarna, for instance, that will let you buy a sandwich on layaway. That you can eat the sandwich today and pay it off over a course of a couple of months. That is ridiculous. That's not showing the people the discipline that's needed to become a saver. And if you can't save money, you are not going to have a future. You won't have the ability to navigate your future effectively. And what I really want to do in my podcasts is show people why things are happening. So going back to what I was talking about was they are decreasing the interest level in Canada to 2.5%. That's not necessarily if the banks are going to pass that on to their customers. That's just what the Bank of Canada is doing. And you're going to see the banks get even richer by doing this because they're going to still, there's people out there that are still paying 6, 7% on their mortgages. And when they lower the rate for the banks, they're not extending that to you. How you doing, Rez, Mike, and Fazzy Kids? I really love having you guys in the program. Thank you so much for. Make sure you like and subscribe because it's important for the channel. Um, but what I wanted to get at is that the Bank of Canada is lowering the rates, but the fact of the matter is that they're not going to extend those rates to you. They're just going to make more money. So what I want people to do is why don't you buy shares in the banks? Because you know that they're going to be making money. Nobody tells you the instruments on how to get rich. And the only reason I share this information with you is that I live debt free. I'm 54 years old. I have a beautiful 40-acre property with my wife. And I got it by working for only 7 years. See, when I was in my 40s, I worked my ass off until I was 47, and then I retired. I never had to work ever again. And the reason being is because I made some sound investments and I made some sound decisions. And one of the things that I did was I got away from high interest loans. Those high interest loans, man, will bury you because what happens is they're actually um, uh, wanting you just to make the minimum payment. And when you make the minimum payments, you're never going to get out of debt. They give you, they want you in the cycle. Instead of people being slaves like in the 18th century where they had a chain around their neck and around their ankles and they, were forced to do 12 hours of work, we have the same kind of slavery in modern day America, modern world, actually. Instead of having a chain, what you have is debt. And that's the same thing because you don't get to, when you're in debt, you don't get to choose the job that you take. You don't get to choose the days that you work. You don't get to choose who you work for because you are so subjected to making that minimum payment that you'll take anything. Look at how many women right now are going to OnlyFans and selling their bodies. Look at how many people are getting into the black market of selling things. I can't mention it on the channel because I'll get deplatformed. But the fact is that they are doing illegal activity just simply to be able to make ends meet. Look at how many people are shoplifting. Look at how many people are going into stores and literally walking out without paying for a thing. Um, and so, what I want you to understand is that that's the position that they want you to be in. And what I'm trying to explain to people on my channel is that there is a way out. And the way out is you got to form your own tribe. You got to pick people that you want in your circle that are able to support your decisions when it comes to active living. When I'm talking about active living, is being able to work when you want in a community. See, they the powers that be have separated us so much from reality that everybody now uh, has to own a house, but nobody wants to live with their parents, right? And when you don't live with a community, your expenses become astronomical. Your payments, for instance, like you can have a family of 2, 3 people live under the same roof, and you'll only need one car. But um, what they've got us doing is they've got us saying that we want independence. And that independence comes at a really high price. That independence comes with you becoming a slave to the corporate America. Corporate America has fine tuned our system to the point where you don't have choice anymore. See, they want you to believe that you have freedom and you have all this freedom of speech and power of this and power of that. You don't have anything. If you're in debt, it means you don't have any choice. Whether you owe it to the bank or you owe it to the neighbor or whether you owe it to your folks, whatever it is, when you are in debt, your time is not yours. Your time is divided. And when a human being has to divide their energy into many different segments, nothing gets done. I want to leave you with one um, parable that makes a lot of sense, and that is if you take a magnifying glass and you focus that beam with the sun, that beam can burn things, and that burn can create change. Fire creates change. Now, if you keep moving that magnifying glass around and you don't keep it steady with concentration and control, nothing happens. But if you have concentration and control at the same time, fire is made and things change due to heat. I thank you for joining me this morning, and I really would love it if you shared, subscribed, and followed my channel because I talk about stuff like this, and I want people to understand that you don't have to make big changes to have a different life. You need to have many different small changes to have a big life. And I really want you to enjoy my programs that I make for Man School. Thank you so much for joining me on this Sunday. We'll chat soon. Bye for now.